Alright, hi everybody. I'm here in my garage, and today I have another chainsaw. Been doing a lot of chainsaws lately, and this one's kind of one I've heard of them before, but I've never really worked on this brand. I think it's a German made, and that's about all I know about it. But let's take a look. So this one, the guy dropped it off, but he also picked one up from me. One of those, one that I'd repaired, and he dropped this one off, said he just cannot get it to start. And you can see the top he had off. This is a Solo 643 IP, and the only thing I know about the Solos, I just know they're made in Germany. And you can see there's some German writing. But anyway, that's about all I know about them. I know they're actually supposed to be fairly good. Everybody says, "Oh, they're German made," but well, okay, it could be good. I mean, I have to look at it first. But he brought it to me, and it looks really, really well used, and pretty nasty under here. So I guess the first thing I'm going to do, I'm obviously going to have to clean this thing up a little bit to work on it. And I don't know how long he's had this, or how often he uses it, but I'm sure I'll have to check the compression. Looks like the carburetor is probably going to need some cleaning, but I think I'm going to check the compression first and see how far we go, because he specifically said he doesn't want to spend a whole lot of money on this, but we'll see. Hopefully it's in not too bad a shape. But let me get this thing cleaned up, and then we'll start. Alright, well, I got some of it cleaned up. Still needs a lot of cleaning. As I guess as I take it apart, I'll clean everything off. You can see what I'm doing. I think the first thing I'm going to do is check the compression. I was cranking on it earlier, and it wasn't even trying. And it's bone dry. The spark plug's bone dry. So, might be a combination. Hopefully it's just a clogged carburetor. Maybe just cleaning it up and get some gas in there. And let me go ahead and check the compression, and then I might try dripping some gas and oil directly down in there, and see if it'll try to crank over. Alright, let me see if I can get some leverage here. I can't get any leverage. Maybe this way. I'm only getting maybe 70 psi. That's kind of low. I usually like to see around 100. But sometimes at least it's enough to get it started. 70 to 75. But you'll probably lose power. Like on those other two, I did those two Polans, and they both needed piston rings. And if I'm not mistaken, one was getting about 40 or 50 and one around 70. But and this one's getting around 70 or so. You can see. But I still want to drip some gas in there. Okay, I just dribbled a little bit in there. I'm going to take this down here where I can get some leverage. Well, if you could hear that, it did kind of try, so we know it's getting spark. There is some compression. I think it's a little low, but I did dribble some gas in there, so, and it was trying to crank. So I'm going to go ahead and take the carburetor off, clean it all out, give this thing a good cleaning, and see if we can get it running. There's still plenty of gas in there. Alright, just trying to get this cover off. It looks like it's just a, I can hardly see down in there. Can't tell if it's a Torx or an Allen key. And it's turning, so once we're going down, and these two over here. Yeah, it looks like it's taking the entire, if you can see, let me turn it around for you. You can see it's taking the whole carburetor and that whole assembly off. So this one's definitely put together a little different than what I'm used to working on, but no big deal. This, I just want to move it over. I don't want to detach the fuel lines. Yet, anyway. And looking at the fuel lines, it looks like it's set up like an Echo, you know, where it has this little filter for your air filter going in. The coiled fuel lines here reminds me of an Echo, but anyway. There we go. Alright, so there's the carburetor. Let's get all this cleaned up, and then I'll clean up down in here too. A lot of sawdust in there. So I'm going to give it a standard cleaning. See how much crap got in there. Everything else works okay. Everything's good. It's not real. Let's have it in that way. There's a joke. Yep. Alright, so I'm going to finish off cleaning some of this junk out. I'm going to put the carburetor back on and see if we can get some fuel going. And if we do, and it still acts like it is, I mean, as far as it was trying to crank, but it just wouldn't kick over, then I think it is the probably a piston ring, because there is some compression, but it might not be enough to really get it going, you know what I mean? But let me clean all this stuff off. Alright, so it went back together pretty easy. It's just like a normal deal. You make sure you hook up your throttle cable. Worked from this side over, putting the fuel lines back on. Lined everything up. The gasket was in good shape. Just put your screws in. Here's the other. This one I actually put on the very last because it's easy to get to, this fuel line here. And then there's your air filter, your air line. And the choke just drops right back into place. Make sure it's working. Make sure your throttle's working. And that's it. Okay, so the bulb is pumping. I'm going to put all this back on and see if it will crank. I'm going to take this outside where I can get a little leverage on it. Alright, let's see. Everything's on. Pumped it out. I think I'll put the choke maybe halfway. Dang. Until it's trying. So I think it's getting gas, but even when I put gas directly into it, it acts like it tried for a couple of times, but that was it. So I think it needs a piston ring. But to make sure that that's all it needs, I'm going to take the muffler off and take a look. Take a look and make sure, you know, if I can look in there and see if the piston or the cylinder is, you know, scored. All right, so let's take a look down in the muffler. When I looked in, when I had the carburetor off, I could look in from the other side, and everything looked fine. But But usually, you know, if the piston or cylinder is scoring, usually it's on the exhaust side, and you can really see down in there. But all that looks fine. Let's see what it looks like. Wait a second. There it is. You know, it's just a tiny bit. I see one tiny little mark, but for the most part, I think it looks okay. So, I think that is it. It just needs a new piston ring. Everything else looks okay. Alright, well, I was hoping it was just needing a clean, you know, getting the carburetor clean, but it goes further than that, of course. First thing I did was check the compression, and I had my suspicions, and sure enough, you know, 70 psi is just not enough. It tried a few times, but that was about it. And I made sure there was gas getting in there, and we'll see what he says, see if he wants to go and spend the money to replace the piston ring. But the piston looked okay. I saw one little mark on it, and that was it. But one little score, and I don't think that was enough to damage it, if you ask me. You might disagree, but I think it just needs a new ring. And because this is actually a pretty nice chainsaw. It's the first time that I've worked on one of these, one of the solos. And but seeing how it was put together, I like the way the fuel lines are done, the type of fuel lines they use. Has a Walbro carburetor. I mean, that's Walbro's a Walbro, right? But also, when I was looking into it, you can see when I was trying to start it, you know, the way that this thing is spring cushioned. There's a spring there, here, and here. So it absorbed a lot of the vibration. So I'm sure this was actually a pretty smooth running saw as far as handling goes. And I mean, it's a well-featured chainsaw, I'd say. Well, I guess that's it for this video. I gotta wait and see what he wants to do, and see if he wants to go ahead and replace that piston ring, because it is a pretty decent chainsaw. I don't know how long he's had it. It looks like it was put under some heavy use, but it's still in good shape, right? And the piston ring wearing down like that is actually pretty normal. But we'll see what he says. And so I guess that's it. If I replace the piston ring, I'll have another video highlighting that. This will be pretty interesting to take this one apart, but looks like it's pretty standard as far as, you know, taking everything apart goes, and getting the cylinder off and all that good stuff. So anyway, I guess that's it. So thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe and watch for my next video.